Hi, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Channer Podcast. Here with your hosts,
Chad Hoffman
and Just Tanner 101. Now, some of you are probably wondering, hey, where have these guys been? It's been a while since the Channer Podcast. Chad, what have we been up to?
What have we been up to is we talk once a week, we watch movies and talk about movies we've seen.
And sometimes we have fun with our friends, because that's what the Channer Podcast is all about.
That's right, it is.
So we're very excited to be back with all of you. Before we get into today's topic, we do want to give a little bit of heads up. We want to know, where did the Channer name come from?
That's right, so the Channer name came from, with my first initials, I put it as Ch, and with Tanner, my guest here, with his last initials, I thought it'd be cool and put it together as Channer.
That's a good way to think of a name for a podcast, and I really like that. I hope all you viewers and listeners at home now have a little bit more idea about how the Channer Podcast works. We like to give a little bit peek behind the curtain sometimes. What do you think, Chad?
I like that.
You think they're ready to get into the show of the movie?
Of course.
Okay, well, we're here because we're talking about none other than the movie
Weapons.
Directed and written by
Zach Cregger.
who you might know from a sketch comedy group called The Whitest Kids You Know, that I used to watch on YouTube a lot, and I really enjoyed them. So it's been fun seeing Zach Cregger have a future and a big career in horror movies, because he's a great director, let me tell you. Can you believe that, Chad?
I can't believe that.
Yeah, because this movie, wow, what a movie. But before we talk about this one, let's just talk about his last movie for a second. Did you see Barbarian?
I have not seen Barbarian, and what is Barbarian all about?
Barbarian's about a woman who finds out she has booked an Airbnb only to discover that it's been double booked. So there are two people in that Airbnb, her and a man, a stranger. And I think it's interesting bringing it up because in light of our movie today, Weapons, it's just as crazy, but also Weapons is just another step forward for this great horror director visionary.
That is right.
Isn't that awesome?
That is so awesome.
Very cool. But now we're talking about Weapons. So, Chad, what would you say the premise of Weapons is?
The premise of Weapons is when all but one child from the same classroom mysteriously vanish on the same night at the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance.
Oh my God! And you telling me something bad happened?
Something bad happened. It's a horror mystery film, for instance.
Wow, but you're not... Don't worry if you haven't seen it yet, because we are not in spoiler territory yet. We are still talking about just the general idea. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can see it later, but we're still talking. We'll get to spoilers soon. But first off, this sounds like a pretty crazy movie. I'm wondering, who the heck is in it?
Julia Gardner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, and Eldon Ehrenreich.
Benedict Wong.
That's right, Benedict Wong. Yes,
Exactly.
That's right.
Alden Ehrenreich, and we got Austin Abrams, and we've got Amy Madigan as a crazy, scary, but very good old aunt, maybe? Huh? Again, no spoilers yet. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy movie. But also, who was the child that played Alex? Little Alex. Because he is so good, everybody. This guy is a little kid, but he is holding the heart of the entire movie. And we're really excited about what he has in store for us in this movie, but also his future in Hollywood, because he clearly has the stuff. He's got the chops, and we're glad he's great. What's his name?
His name is Carrie Christopher.
Well, Carrie, you're a star in our book, so thanks for a great movie.
And you played a good role for sure, too.
Oh my gosh, yes you did. Now, again, before we get into spoiler territory, what would you say your expectations going into the movie were?
My expectations going into the movie, were, I was expecting, a scary, normal horror movie, nothing like the Freddy Krueger franchise, the Jason Voorhees franchise,
Now you were expecting something like that or something different from those?
Something different from those.
Something different, and I think we got something different. Something
we
very
do have
original,
something
I'd
different.
say. And I would say that nobody really knew what to expect. Obviously, it has a hooking premise that gets you right from the beginning. What happened to those 17 kids? I'd say my expectation is I love Barbarian so much, and I loved Whitest Kids You Know, and I have a good time during horror movies, so I had high hopes for this movie, and you know what? It met those hopes and beyond. They were so good. I had so much fun.
I had a fun time too seeing it.
Well, I think we should get into some of the fun time, which happens to mean we are in
Spoiler territory.
spoiler territory. Now that spoilers are okay to say, how about that witch?
That witch was one crazy witch for sure, man.
She was scary. I would not want to have her as an aunt, let me tell you that.
Neither would I, or neither of any one of you, for sure.
I don't think any of you want her as an aunt, unless you're a little bit crazy or want to see something crazy happen.
Exactly.
But in our opinion, stay away from elderly women that have crazy lipstick and big red hair like that, you know?
Exactly.
But it's not about her being old or anything, because we love elderly people. Here at Channer, the Channer community, we believe in everybody is equal, and all ages, all races, and all species deserve to have a fair and good life. So we just want to get that out of the way when we say that she was very scary.
She was scary for sure, indeed. The way you saw how the way she acted, the way she looked, she was one scary witch for sure.
Holy moly, she was a scary, scary woman. And I'll say she had our crowd in my screening jumping up and down in their seats. They were like, oh no, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
How was your screening? What did everybody react in your screening?
Everyone in the screen, like, whenever something crazy was about to come, like, you heard some, like, gasps. You just heard, like, some people, like, scream or, like, talk or just go, like, oh boy, oh no, this, there, whatever.
I was a part of a pack screening where each of those chapter breaks will say the structure is, how would you describe the structure of the story?
It talked about each character, like in the movie, like it showed like what type of character they were talking about.
And their perspective of the story, which was very interesting, seeing how it all fits together, like a big mosaic or puzzle kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Well, like went like forward and then went like backwards in some ways too.
You'd see what was happening and then you'd jump back in time and see how we got to this place in the first place. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's what really made it just a fun roller coaster of an experience where you had no idea what was about to happen. And I'd say that each time one of those chapter breaks happened in my screening, the whole crowd was just loving it. We were clapping, and we were oohing, and we were eyeing, because a lot of those chapter breaks ended with huge cliffhangers. One of my favorites was the teacher. Do you remember how the teacher chapter ended? She stopped in front of the house
because her student Alex, she saw it walking, and she knew something mysteriously was happening.
So she was waiting in her car. She falls asleep, and then middle of the night, the door opens, and what happens when the door opens?
She's falling asleep, right? And this old lady comes up and cuts her hair.
Yeah, and it's one of the most scary images I've seen in a movie in so long. Maybe since David Lynch's Blue Velvet, which, Chad, have you seen?
I have not yet.
It will definitely be a movie for a future Channer episode. But for now, all you need to know is that there's a very scary image of a woman coming out of the darkness, and she's been bruised and battered, and you don't know where she's coming from, and you're worried for her. And it's just scary nightmare image. And I'd say this image of that lady coming out of the house in the middle of the night with scissors, just like this, holding up above her head, and just walking in a really weird, like, way of walking, it scared the pants off of me.
And I'm sure it scared the pants out of everyone else who saw the film as well.
Because everybody in my theater was like, oh no, what's about to happen?
Yeah, I had the same reaction, like someone, oh boy, look out, oh no, oh.
I had a couple people who were like, physically putting their arms out and like, I don't want to get anywhere closer to these people because they're crazy. Oh my goodness gracious. And then you had the ending of Archer. Dad, played by
Josh Brolin.
And he had a great chapter that ended with a pretty crazy nightmare. Do you remember this nightmare?
I do remember the crazy nightmare.
What happened in the nightmare?
He's in the middle of the night, he's asleep, right? And there's a gun over his house.
What the heck did that gun mean?
I think that gun meant was what happens in today's world, in today's society.
Today's society, I think it means a lot about the violence that's prevalent in today's society and the violence that is being brought into our schools. I think this could be a school shooting movie without a school shooting. But that is all something we will get to later. Right now, we just want to talk about our favorite character. What was your favorite character?
I'd have to say, my favorite character of the film, of Weapons, had to be Benedict Wong, who played Marcus.
Benedict Wong.
Benedict Wong, yeah, that's right. I said Benedict Wong.
Sometimes we mispronounce things here at Channer, and you know what? That's our fault. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
And we just want to make sure everyone loves and tunes in. And
we apologize for our accents. We do not say everything correctly. We do not pronounce everything correctly. And we want to get in front of that and apologize for anything we missay.
That's right.
Because we never mean to hurt anybody or make anybody feel less than.
That's right.
Because here at the Channer Community Podcast, we believe in everybody's right to equality and having rights and having a good life and being comfortable with a room and shelter and food for them as well. That's just something we believe here at Channer, right, Chad?
That's right, yeah.
But we gotta get back to this movie.
That we do. Back to the weapons part.
Back to the weapons and back to Benedict Wong playing Marcus. Now, what was his character's deal, and why did you like him so much?
That's right. He was a principal of the school, and just trying to make a society and whatnot, and warn others, and just
trying to help the parents. Really.
Help the parents.
Trying to figure out what happened to the kids, but also trying to take care of the community around him. And he's clearly just a school administrator in the deep of it all, doing his best, trying to do his best, but then ends up meeting Alex's aunt
Gladys. Spoiler.
We are in spoiler territory, so Benedict Wong meets Alex's aunt. What happens in that scene?
So what happens in that scene, Benedict Wong's character, is he's at his house with his husband, and he's having a plate of hot dogs, and then he gets a doorbell ring.
How many hot dogs did he have?
He had 7 hot dogs. That man loved hot dogs.
A doorbell is rung, and what happens at the door?
It's Aunt Gladys, that witch.
Wow, and what does she do?
She comes into the house.
She wanted to make sure that he had not alerted the authorities yet. That was part of it. But she also wanted something to drink, right?
She came in. She wanted water.
So Benedict Wong, Marcus, ended up was going to get her a glass of water, but she asked for what instead?
A bowl. It was a bowl. Yes, it was a bowl.
And in that moment, we, as an audience, as well as Marcus and his husband, for a second realized there's something up with this woman. She's a little weirder than we think. And next thing we know, she has the bowl of water and she's talking to Marcus and his husband. She ends up taking out what from her purse?
It was the stick.
What does she do with the stick, Chad?
Breaks it in.
And then what happens in that moment?
And then Benedict Wong, he starts to get possessed and turn evil and starts turning on his husband, puts him in a chokehold. And then all of a sudden you just see him run like crazy.
Not before he does something else first to his husband. Do you remember what he does?
Headbutt. Boom. At a rock band.
He's headbutting his husband. For those listening at home and don't see the image before you, he is literally headbutting his husband pretty dang hard, and it doesn't feel good, does it?
It does not. Especially anyone getting headbutted, for sure.
I would not want to be headbutted like that, and it happens for a little bit longer than you'd like to. And what does Aunt Gladys do the whole time? Just washes her hands.
Yep.
And you know what? Packs her purse and heads out after Marcus. He runs very fast. Towards who?
Runs towards Julia Gardner's character.
The teacher.
That's right.
Because she's planning to kill her, you think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. And that is a pretty crazy image. Just Benedict Wong running with his T-pose that these kids have done at the beginning of the movie, which we haven't even talked about the pose that the kids have done, but they put their hands out almost like a plane or like a bird, and they're just running. And Benedict Wong is doing this straight towards Julia Garner, the teacher, and it looks pretty scary. And that's where they cross over with the teacher and the dad, and then they realize that might be a little bit more complicated than they first thought.
Exactly.
So that's your favorite character. What would be my favorite character? You know what? I'd have to say Amy Madigan. She is amazing as the witch. It's a very hard role to play. She comes in as very frail, very weak. She's an older woman that doesn't look very strong. And then over the course of the movie is gradually getting stronger and more energy and more charismatic in some way, but she's still weird the entire time. And I'm just like, who the heck is she? And I'll also say when she first starts appearing, just in those very quick moments of frames where the characters see her in their nightmares, just those images alone are nightmare fuel. Because you have no idea who she is and why she looks like that, you know?
Yeah.
I gotta say, she was scary, and she deserves an Oscar nomination, if not an Oscar win.
No doubt about that one.
Exactly. And so that's pretty cool. Now we've got to talk about maybe our favorite parts. What was your favorite part, Chad?
My favorite part had to be like the ending scene where Alex, played by Carrie Christopher, towards the end, goes into the bathroom and gets the tree. He cuts his hand, puts it in the water. He snaps it, and then all the kids who were in the basement, start to get free, and then the old lady, the witch, starts to run, and then all the kids start running towards her, and they run into house after house and running all over the neighborhood.
That was crazy and so much fun. So much catharsis in that moment after watching this scary woman controlling and doing bad things to all these people. Finally, she gets her comeuppance.
You know what they say, karma turns around and bites you.
Karma turns around and bites you. That's what they say. And these kids definitely bit her. They were literally pulling her apart.
So gross. Oh man, it was sickening. But that character though, in the movie though, deserved what she got because
she was mean.
Possessing all those little kids and keeping them under the basement under a spell. Ugh,
not nice. Here at the Chandler community, we do not support possession.
That we do
or
not.
Or mind control.
Always good to have faith and keep it.
And keep your free will. And just do what you want to do because you want to take care of yourself. And don't do anything that's going to hurt anyone else.
That's right.
Because we always care about other people.
And everyone should care for others too. For your loved ones.
Exactly. Nice.
Well, we're right back.
And we're back. So we're talking about favorite parts, and that part where all the kids run out the window was pretty crazy.
In the window, the house, and breaking the windows and...
Wow, that was
scary. To the window, to the wow.
To the windows, to the wall. The kids drop down these halls. It doesn't matter. Who knows?
It doesn't matter.
But it's funny because Zach Kreger, when he originally wrote that in the script, it was only a few lines, and it said the kids chase her outside, and bad things happen. And it was on the day of shooting that they realized we want to make this a bigger set piece, a bigger action moment, and they end up planning and coordinating this long chase sequence that ends up being one of the best moments of the entire movie.
And make it a bigger audience.
Yes, more impactful, more just emotionally. Holy moly, what's going on?
You get a holy cow reaction, you know?
Yes, and they definitely got it with that part of the movie. So that was definitely good. And I would say, well, first off, I'd like to give a little shout out to friend and sister of the podcast, Isabella, who I had the pleasure of watching the movie with. And she just wanted to give a shout out for her favorite part, which was tied between your favorite part of the kids chasing the witch. And she also loved the moment when James, played by Austin Abrams, who breaks into the house and goes down in the basement for the first time and first sees all the kids down there. And when they all spin to attention and look at him really quickly. So she really liked how scary those kids were, which they were pretty scary kids.
They were possessed. That's why.
And I'll say my favorite part was probably related to James as well. After Josh Brolin and Julia Garner have come into the house as well, and they have crossed the line of salt, there's a moment where Alden Ehrenreich's character and Austin Abrams' character attack them and start running at them. And James is running at Josh Brolin's character, Archer, and Archer ends up pinning him down and starts punching him in the face. And he keeps punching him in the face repeatedly. Do you remember this moment?
I do remember that moment.
Because I loved watching him get punched in the face repeatedly, and it was a moment where he'd get punched, he'd go down, he'd wake up, start screaming again. He'd get punched, go down, start screaming again. And it happened 10 times, and I was really loving that. That was funny. And at one point, he started running at Josh Brolin again, and Josh Brolin picked him up and threw him across the room.
You picked him up like a wrestling move or something like that, or grabbing him up like a lineman would do in football.
And I thought that was a pretty funny part, so I like that part. That was probably
a good scene, and James was definitely quite the character.
And
too.
You know what? Also, friend and sister of the podcast, as Isabella said, James was probably her favorite character too. And you know what? He was great. He was so funny, but also had reasons to kind of root for him at moments. Although I would not root for him to keep opening all those doors. Remember that?
Oh yeah, all the doors, and like he broke into and did not know what to expect.
And he didn't care. He just wanted to get stuff to sell, huh?
He kept going to store after store, and like this kid did not even have a home, and he was like sleeping in a tent.
Yeah, it was a funny guy. It was definitely fun. And when he found out that he might have found the kids and he wanted the money, but he didn't want to go to the police station
because he was afraid of that cop.
It made for some silly hijinks, if you can imagine. Now let's talk about maybe some of the major themes of the movie. I think violence is something that comes up in today's society, as you brought up earlier. It's a lot about what happens when a mass tragedy happens to a small town in a suburban environment, because it's about how the community responds to this trauma and how they pick up the pieces after and figure out, how did this happen?
There was a witch in the movie. That's right. You don't see that in today's world, though. Like
No,
it's
luckily
all
there's
in the
no real
movie,
witches.
thankfully.
Yeah, luckily there's no real witches in the world. And if there are, hopefully they are using their powers only for good, because we do not support evil witches.
That
Sorry.
we do not.
Yeah, that's where we draw the line. We support a lot of people, but we do not support evil witches.
And don't support evil in general.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's a theme. I'd say there's also a theme of independence, codependence, of family. You have the son, Alex, who has to take care of his parents after they've been possessed by his aunt. He has to give them food, and it's a lot about just being a caregiver, it could be. So it is a very interesting
Caregiver to
look.
others, too.
Exactly.
He could be a caregiver if he grows up because of
Maybe.
what he went through as a little child.
And, well, you know what? I hope he's living somewhere and has a better life and much less scary, which I think actually it ends the movie saying that he moved in with a different aunt who was less scary than Gladys. So we hope he's okay, Alex.
Let's hope so, too. And, like, with the school you go to, hopefully, like, the kids in your class don't disappear like the last one.
Exactly. We hope that you're okay, and that we hope that all of your friends stay where they are from here on out. We hope that you are okay, Alex. So those are some major themes of the movie, and I'm wondering if there was anything else. Can you think of anything else?
James' character, like when he found all those kids and he was afraid to go to the police, and that police officer who had trouble with him before starts running after him, and he hides in his tent, and he's afraid of what he saw, the witch, and he hides himself underneath the tent, and when he sees the tent pull up, he had needles, and when he saw, he just yanked the needles and pointed, and it happened to be the cop, and he thought he got the witch, and that was so fun. That was
crazy.
That was
scary.
crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy part, and you really think it's going to be the witch, and nope, it's the cop.
You never know what to expect. That's all I gotta say.
And that's a mark of a good movie, if you ask me.
I'd say so.
If you have no idea what's going next, that means you're in for a good time.
That you are, my friends.
And I'd say a lot of this movie is also about the fear of the unknown, fear of like not knowing what's going on, and being scared and angry about that.
How about this? Fear of the unknown and fear of the undead. That's a good one right there.
Definitely. And fear of the dead and fear of death. I think this movie is also a lot about grief and trauma. We are actually getting into the fun facts of the episode, and a little fun fact of the movie is that Zach Kreger originally wrote this movie in response to his friend Trevor Moore dying. So this movie was his way of channeling his grief and his hard feelings into a story about people who deal with very difficult things.
And what they go through in life.
And how they pursue, and how different people react in different ways to trauma.
And see where they came from as well.
And he even says that a lot of these characters, the main characters, represents different parts of himself as he was grieving his own friend, which is a very interesting way to look at just a fun horror movie.
Yeah. And it had some like scary parts, good parts, and just like a lot of jumps to it as well.
Lots of jumps, lots of scares, lots of laughs though too. Right?
Yeah, you had some laughters and funny scenes.
There's a lot more laughter than you'd think in a scary movie like this, but I think that also made it even more fun.
I would say the same thing.
I think we've dealt with a lot of horror movies in recent years that are more serious and more trying to tell a larger and bigger story. And you get the term elevated horror. Have you heard that, Chad?
I have not heard that till today. Like, what's elevated horror?
It's the idea that, like, it's not just a normal horror movie that's here to have fun, but it's trying to tell a message, trying to make a political statement in some way, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but at some point, enough is enough, and we need to have just some fun time at the movies, and I think that's what Weapons is.
I would say the same thing, enjoy it for yourself, just relax, get some popcorn, get a drink, and just, enjoy whoever you're seeing it with, whether yourself, with friends, a loved one, or just anyone that you want to go to the movies with.
Exactly. Definitely. Because, man, oh man, this was a good movie. But you know what? Not everybody thinks so, Chad. And have you heard any of the critiques about the movie?
I've heard some pros and cons about it, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and on
Tomatoes don't lie.
Tomatoes do not lie. And the acting was really good. Someone I saw in the comments said they had to walk out of the film because they didn't like what they saw.
Yeah, it's a hard movie to watch if you're not into this kind of subject matter, because it's pretty gory, pretty bloody, and pretty scary at times. But if you're in for it, I think it makes for a fun time. Now, I have also heard some people say that the ending happens very quickly. What do you think of that, Chad?
I would say how the ending happened very quickly was how Alex in the bathroom has the stick and twists it. And when you see all the kids that we talked about getting out of the basement and running, and it was all in fast pace, and the music was so hype and intrigued, and just the kids just running, and just the way how they ran fast.
Yeah, but they chase after the witch and then
and
rip her
Gladys.
apart. And then pretty much movie ends after Archer finds his son and walks away. Movie ends with Matthew, his son, just looking at the camera. And no real explanation of what happens after or how the community responds to all of this. And you're kind of left there just wondering, what the heck did I just watch?
Yeah, and I wonder just how everyone felt that night. How did you feel going out of the theater-wise?
I will say that we were definitely felt like we just watched a crazy thing, and we were a little on edge. We were a little scared. What's behind the next corner that we're walking through,
I, for myself, after I got out of the theater, my heart was shaking the entire time, and me and my friends were just talking about it, and I was at the MJR Universal in Warren where I saw the film, and when I got out, it was raining, pouring down rain, and I ran fast in my car just like how the kids ran in the movie.
And those kids run in the T-pose, which is another fun fact about it, is that Zach Kreger started writing the script with the idea of them running like that, but didn't know why, and didn't know why the kids disappeared until about 50 pages into the story. So, can you imagine that? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But they are scary, and those poses are interesting and cool.
They had some cool effects to it as well.
Very cool effects and very cool choreography and acting, of course.
Acting was phenomenal.
But to those people who say that it ended too quickly, ended too fast, I would just say that maybe that's how grief is, how trauma happens. Things happen fast and things happen with no reason sometimes. And you're left wondering, what the heck just happened? And that's life, unfortunately. Sometimes.
That is like the song, That's Life, That's Life.
Exactly. So I also think some people had some issues with the magic, how the magic in the world is explained, and it's not really explained, is it, Chad?
No, magic is not explained.
It's just she's just got the twig that she breaks.
It's like a spell, like a little twist.
And some people wanted more explanation of how that works. To me, I liked it just enough. I thought that we got the idea, but it wasn't too much heavy-handed and exposition. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, so I liked it.
I liked it too. It was really good. The acting was good, and the whole effect to the movie and the cinematography was phenomenal.
Well, it's coming to the end of the episode, Chad. So let's say we got to give our ratings of the movie. So let's give Chad's first.
So,
what did you think?
My thoughts on the movie, I liked it a lot. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It was worth seeing.
I'll say that from my point of view, I went in expecting a lot, and you know what? I got more than enough to enjoy everything. And while not a perfect movie, there's definitely things that could have been changed or could have been different. I thought it was one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, one of the most fun movies I've seen in a long time, and definitely one of the most original movies I've seen in a long time. And I've got to say that my final rating is, right now, we're sitting at a 9 out of 10.
So 5 points higher than me.
0.5 higher.
0.5 higher, that's right.
That's exactly it. And that's our ratings, but you know what? We always want to hear what you think of it. So if you want to let us know, reach out, message us, or leave a comment. And we always want to talk more to our Channer community. So let us know what you want to hear from us next.
And stay tuned for another update of the Channer Podcast.
Because today we were talking about weapons. And as Chad always says,
if you haven't seen it, go and see it.
And that's the end.
Stay tuned for next time. Have a nice one, everybody.
Wait, you like that? Nice.
Love it. That was awesome.
Did it?
We crushed